Wellness Show, episode number 424.
Welcome to the Wellness Show, a podcast on health and wealth. I'm your host, Tyhson Banighen, the founder of the Extraordinary Healing Arts Academy. Join me as we get the latest insight, tips, and strategies from wellness providers, coaches, and successful, heart-centered entrepreneurs, and much, much more. Welcome to the Wellness Show. And today we're having a return visit and discussion with Dr. Silverman. And today we're talking about healthy guts and it make for a healthy wealth. So welcome to the show, Savannah. It's good to have you back. We've been a while since we last talked, but this is a really, really important topic. So I'm excited that we're going to get into the guts of the thing. So welcome to the show.
We're going to get into the guts. And again, thank you, Tyhson, for having me back. And if I might disclose some information, we had a little bit of a break because one of the Mondays interfered with your birthday. So happy belated birthday and many, many, many more.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah. And definitely being healthy and wealthy and hopefully wise has to do with a healthy gut for sure.
Absolutely. So I told Tyhson today that we are going to be talking about a growing subject. We're going to be talking about issue. So guys, let me tell you, I always make a joke when I ask people, let's start with kids. You all have kids and now you have grandchildren. And when you remember your babies, when your kids were babies, you remember when...
Well, I wasn't actually around for my kids when they were babies, but I do remember my brothers and sisters because I changed an awful lot of diapers.
That's a whole thing. So basically, yeah. When the kids, they poop when they eat or right after.
They're very talented. In one end.
That's right. And for some reason, we lose the talent.
Wow. So why do we lose the talent?
We lose the talent because our GI tube gets sluggish and doesn't propulse neither food nor our excretions or our waste due to what? We don't eat right, we don't drink enough, and then because of all of the above, we also suppress our family, and now I'm talking about microbiome family. Because we are living in the family or in the neighborhood. I call it microbiome, not just microgut. We need to think that we are covered with bugs from head to toe, literally from head to toe. And when I was going through med school, or maybe through both of my med schools, I was taught that the urine is sterile, that the lungs are sterile, that the brain is sterile. And now I'm relearning that the brain has its own microbiota. Can you believe that? Lungs have their own microbiota.
Oh, I didn't know that. So they're different.
They're different. Oh yeah, the species are different. And Tyhson, check the chat, please. And, let's say urine has its own microbiota. Our skin contains microbiota. So it's interesting, that now, per se, it may be controversial from my part, we're showering every day and everything, but putting so much soap, sometimes we're washing off some beneficial flora. We were talking
about that the other day. So so we probably then do that too often, right?
Correct. It seems like that we may be doing this too often. You don't need to go dirty or stinky, but it actually makes sense now. So some say that give an example. We used to think that 90% of us are different bugs, different species, whether they are fungi, viruses, bacteria, protozoa, this kind of the family of bugs. So now I think the latest studies say that our bugs population is 10% more in cellularity than us. So for example, if we are on average, let's say 35 trillion cells, so the population of bugs, let's say, is 50 trillion cells.
Wow.
So that gives you an idea that our bugs are very, very important. Now, well, so you need to understand that we do have good bugs
And bad bugs.
and bad bugs and the bugs in between. And let's say, so, and that is why the concept of health is so critically important, because now let's go back, let's get into the microgut. So we know that from the oral cavity straight into our rectum, we have microgut, obviously. We have different kinds of species. And let me tell you that there's a constant war going on from here to there.
Yeah.
Constant war between good bugs and the bad bugs, and then the bugs in between. And that is going to imply the composition of this goodness or the badness is going to imply on how clean your GI tube is, how good you are eating, how good you are cleaning your GI system, how good you are maintaining your GI system. It's all interconnected. Because, for example, there is a condition that some of you heard, which is called pseudomembranous colitis or C. difficile colitis. And this C. difficile colitis is induced by us, by the doctors, when we prescribe antibiotics. However, that C. difficile bug is actually a quietly living bug in our gut, in our large colon. It is what is called commensal flora. It lives there quietly, it doesn't bother us. It only bothers us when the balance of our microgut is confused or disturbed. And it is going to be disbalanced when also the feeding process is altered.
So what disturbs his gut?
Bad food.
Yeah.
So here's the deal. So what does bad food mean? So, let's say, when don't we poop? We don't poop when some food is not digested. It sits there. It has no nutritional value. It's like a ballast.
Yeah.
So it sits there, so it depresses what is called peristalsis. So the bowels don't move.
Yeah.
Meaning literally, because the bowels is like, it moves like this. Constriction, dilatation, constriction, dilatation, constriction, dilatation. So that's how the food bolus and then the excretions propulse. But when you eat certain food, the speed that slows down that peristalsis or that muscularity, that food sits. Now that food also, there is some food that just sits there, and it requires a whole bunch of energy. So when that food sits there and it doesn't go down,
Yeah.
when it doesn't go down, it's still not going to sit. What is going to go? It will start rotting, and then it will start going not this way, it will start going this way.
Right.
Meaning when it starts going this way, it's going into your cells. It's going to
Leaky
go
guts.
through your gut, which is called leaky gut. Leaky gut, it creates the holes,
Yeah.
and then it goes through those holes, and then through the blood supply or through the lymphatic system, and it goes into the tissues. And that is why when the gut is not healthy, the toxins are going to stimulate different abnormalities anywhere. So,
Right.
for example, unhealthy gut is linked to neurodegenerative disorders like Parkinson's disease, like Alzheimer's disease, like multiple sclerosis, like autistic spectrum disorder, and more and more and more. Very, very important. So the issue is, how do you maintain that pulsatility or peristalsis?
Yeah.
How do you maintain the integrity of GI tube without holes? How do you keep your microgut species in balance, the good bugs growing and the bad bugs not growing? And how do you feed the body, the gut, and how do you feed the microgut?
Well, those are all good questions. So now we need the answers.
Okay, where do we start? So now.
Well, I would think that one of the important things would be water, right? Because if you don't have enough water,
absolutely. Thank you for Thank you for reminding me. Absolutely, because I meant to talk about it and then I forgot. The hydration, again, going back to gory details of the stool. So the hydration is very, very important. If you're not hydrated enough, you're not going to have water to make your stool soft. If you're not going to make your stool soft, it's going to be sitting in your gut like the stone, like the rock, like rocks. You know, there is a medical term for this. It's called fecalith. Fecalith means fecal matter, poop. Lith means stone, fecalith, fecal stones.
Yeah, I can remember my dad had a problem because, and I was thinking about this other day, you know, because he didn't know anybody, nobody taught him this stuff. He drank coffee, like he had one of those 32-cup coffee makers, you know, the old ones, which were aluminum, which wasn't very good for you. And so the coffee was sitting there all day. He drank coffee all day long. He never drank enough water. So he ended up with hemorrhoids, right?
Well, you end up with hemorrhoids because you're straining. You're loosening your muscles, and you're putting so much strain on your blood supply.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how you end up with hemorrhoids. But that's a great question. People think that they can drink coffee. That's my hydration. No, coffee is not your hydration, because coffee actually is going to go through you. There are other benefits of coffee. Don't get me wrong. A good coffee, organic beans, not with milk and sugar, black coffee or coffee with, let's say, nut milks or the coconut milk. So that coffee will have antioxidants. But is that liquid going to be a hydration liquid? No.
But it will make you poop.
Yeah, exactly. So your hydration liquid is your purified water,
Right.
Either purified water or clean water. So whether it is minerals, from the spring water, whether it's your reverse osmosis water, whether it's your Berkey water, some sort of a clean water.
Very important.
Right. And they do say 6 to 8 cups. My take for my body, I like to consume between 1.5 liters to 2 liters of decaffeinated fluid, like water and stuff. I don't drink water. I don't like water. So I make my own beverages. I make my own very, very healthy beverages, which also includes something that is a probiotic, because I make my own kombucha and I make my own kefir. So I don't buy yogurt, this kind of stuff. I make my own.
Right. Well, we have kombucha made by our neighbor.
Lucky you.
I guess the difficulty with kombucha is you just have to be careful you don't get into too much alcohol, right?
If it's fermented well, you won't get too much alcohol. I think, to me, the more important stuff with kombucha is not to get too much sugar. because if your kombucha is under fermented, and how does kombucha ferment? It ferments on sugar.
Right.
So if your beverage is sweet, so it's under fermented.
Right.
However, you can get it a little sweeter with what is called double fermentation.
Yeah, so that's really good. And you do kefir too. We used to do that for.
I do, and because I'm a vegan, so I don't do dairy products.
Yeah, I'm vegan too.
I have water kefir grains, and I make my kefir on a basics of coconut water.
Ah.
And those kefir grains, they love coconut water because there's lots of nutrition in it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of minerals. And obviously there is some natural sugars in there. So the bacteria eats it and multiplies and gives me nice and fizzy beverages.
So I'm wondering about, is like with COVID-19 and the pandemic and all the rest of this, everybody's cleaning like crazy using all these chemicals all over everything. I'm wondering, I would think that that's not very good if we get too clean, because that's going to adversely affect our gut too.
So what is going to damage your whole body? I'm not against chemicals, but I'm against bad chemicals.
Right.
So how can you clean at home? You want to clean, there's soap and water. There's baking soda and vinegar.
Right.
The beautiful cleansers, beautiful. And, obviously some natural alcohols. I mean, the thing is, you can buy pure ethanol. You can dilute to 60 plus. And you can add whatever some softeners in it, as for example, as a cleanser. But for the house, your cleansing supplies, your cleaning supplies, that is extremely important. Because if you don't do it in a healthy way, you're going to harm yourself, you're going to harm your gut.
Absolutely.
So now, when we already brought the concept, for example, of COVID, and it doesn't matter whether it's COVID or not COVID, let's say we're talking viruses.
Yeah.
So we need viruses, bacteria, unhealthy stuff. We need immune system. We need an immune system, but we need a healthy immune system. Well, guess what? 80% plus of our immune system is in our gut. Our gut is the main focus of our immune system. And it's not just the primary immune systems, the innate immune system. It's the first line of defense because that's where the food comes. That's where the food, and the food is not sterile. So you need that innate immune system. Innate immune system with natural killer cells, immunoglobulin A, something that just faces, this is a front line of our defense. But then you start looking into a secondary, into sophisticated immune system that is in our gut, which is called gut-associated lymphoid system, GALT or MALT, mucosa-associated lymphoid system. That's a very sophisticated lymphoid system. And 80%.
Wow.
But that immune system is entirely in direct communication with our microgut, because our probiotics, our microgut, communicates with those immune cells through the system of mediators. There's a connection through certain chemical molecules. They talk to each other. So you do not want unhealthy bugs to talk to your immune system, and you need. So now your gut immune system, for example, where does it sit? Where does it reside? It resides in your gut tube, in your gut lining. So what does that mean? It means that you need to keep your gut lining healthy.
So I've been told that when we don't do that when we have an unhealthy gut, that it really affects our emotions.
Absolutely. That's a great point. How does it affect our emotions? Because our microgut is responsible for, it's called neurotransmitter serotonin. Well, actually, our microgut is responsible for multitude of neurotransmitters like serotonin, like a dopamine movements, like acetylcholine, and dopamine also our emotions. Our microgut is responsible for our excitement or the sympathetic nervous system, and then our calming of our parasympathetic nervous system. Everything is in communication. So microgut, what it does, again, it stimulates, which are called neuroendocrine cells in our gut. Those neuroendocrine cells in our gut, they make serotonin. Serotonin is our happy neurotransmitter. That's what makes us happy, that also helps us to sleep. And that serotonin then goes from our gut through a whole bunch of connections, and it goes into the brain. That is why we say that our microgut or our gut is a second brain.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Yeah.
But then there's a communication of our microgut gut to our heart, and they say that heart is our third brain.
Yeah, and there's actually a 3-brain protocol that we offer in the Wellness Academy if people are interested, how to balance those 3 brains. And this is a critical part. This is why I'm so excited we're talking about the gut, so we understand the connection between the gut and the brain and the heart. And that the gut is has far more messages that are going to the brain than we could ever imagine.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that is why it is so critically important to keep our gut healthy and to keep our microgut healthy. It almost appears that this day and age, because the gravity of toxins is huge. I was listening to the lecture today on organics. Dr. Deanna Munich, who is one of the gurus in nutrition, author, researcher, books, publications, you name it. So she was talking about organic food, and then she said that the 30% of organic foods have glyphosate.
Wow, that's unbelievable.
And glyphosate is a massive suppressor.
And where's it getting it from? From the other non-organic fields, or what?
What's that? Yeah, somehow I don't know how, but that's the reality.
Wow, that's depressing. Wow.
But that's not. It's not depressing. It's educational.
Yeah, well, that's huge. 30%.
30. That's what Deanna said. 30%.
Wow, because we think that glyphosate only kind of come from chemically treated, farming practices.
Yeah, but correct. But how do you predict it's the wind and everything?
Yeah, so it's
the wind is the rain is the water.
Yeah, okay. So it's something to be very, very,
very. So then, absolutely. So then it's going to affect your gut lining, right? So it almost feels like now everybody has leaky gut. Everybody. So how are we going to plug those holes?
So let me ask you this. What do you think about, because there's glyphosate in 30% of the organic vegetables, then what about washing the vegetables when you get them?
So here's the deal. Listen, so here's the deal, and I will go controversial about it.
All right.
Because absolutely, I always tell people who tell me I cannot afford organic. And I tell them, do not afford organic. Because you can wash it, you can rinse it, you can peel it. Because your food, your microgut food is not an animal protein. It's not animal-derived food.
Right.
Unless also, there is a caveat. Because those omegas, those essential fatty acids, are extremely important to your microgut and your gut. But the food, your major food for your probiotics is called prebiotics. It's basically, it's fruits and vegetables, and it's flavonoids and a whole bunch of other stuff. It's like So for example, one of the best foods, prebiotic food, is apples, apples and onions.
My favorites. Well, not onions, but apples.
So hang on. However, let's say onions. With onions don't absorb pesticides or herbicides. So you don't need to buy onions organic. You don't. Apples are pretty high on the list of pesticide absorption. And you can go online and do a very, very simple search and do dirty dozen fruits and vegetables. It will give you an idea. However, even with this said, you can't afford organic apples. Don't afford organic apples.
Well, the thing to really remember, if you can't afford organic, then you may be paying a lot of money with your health down the road.
That's correct. So, but the thing is, when people say their excuse, they can't afford organic and they go Kraft's dinner.
Right.
So you can't afford organic, so don't buy organic. But buy those apples at the cheapest.
Yeah.
Buy
And
your apples.
don't forget, you can learn how to dowse or muscle test or do body spraying, and you can go to the fruits and see which are the least toxic to buy, right? And then wash them.
And then you wash them. Again, and you don't need to go bananas on some cleaning stuff.
Right.
No, you wash them if you want. Simple soap and water. Simple.
Well, we have a product here, and it has been approved by Health Canada for working with animals and keeping them clean. It's called hypochlorous acid, and we found by doing tests with it, and we wash the vegetables with it, they will last twice as long in the fridge, and that it's actually part of what's manufactured in the body. So it's not toxic to the body, but it has a 99.9% kill to all the baddies, right? Not the goodies or the in between.
And as I mentioned before, you can rinse it with simple household vinegar.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
And then if you want to rinse it more, you can rinse it with squeeze a lemon, rinse it with a lemon juice.
Right. So that's sort of part of getting your gut ready too, right? The lemon juice and the apple
lemon juice is awesome,
cider.
absolutely. So, and then see, this is actually the most beneficial part of an apple is the apple peel.
Yes.
And that is going to feed your probiotics, your microgut. So there are no excuses, really. There are no excuses, none whatsoever.
So there's no excuses. If you can't buy organic, you can get the best quality that you can.
Correct. So with me, for example, I forage on whatever is in season.
Yeah.
So my neighbors, they have a beautiful crab apple. They don't take a single apple out of there, and it's very tiny. And before it hits cold, they're inedible. However, when it hits cold, they become yummy and tart and delicious. So I go pick everything. Now with my farmers, that's to a point where I don't go bananas on heavy duty washing, because I know my farmers and I know their soil and I know what's in the soil. So I'm not going to go bananas and sterilize my food.
Right. Yeah, because you know where they're coming from.
Because I know where it's coming from. If it's a commercial food, it's a different story.
Yeah, we're very fortunate. We have a beautiful apple crop this year. So many we haven't finished picking them. Some are still in the tree, even though we've had a frost. So we're very, very fortunate.
That even in the frost, because now, so what? So they may be a little bit softer, but they're still awesome. And then, if you want the big tart, you can make an apple butter out of them.
Yeah, or applesauce in the middle of winter.
That's what I'm saying, apple butter, applesauce.
My favorite.
Yeah, so to me, when people say I can't afford organic, you don't need to afford organic.
Right.
But what you can't afford, you cannot afford to eat out of the box.
No. That's a death prescription.
So that's per se my take. So, and the thing is, I don't have the control of the wind and stuff. So if there is some chemical residue, nothing we can do. That we polluted the globe. We polluted our earth. So my goal, my take is, how do I make my body clean? again and again and again. So how do I make my gut clean?
So let's talk about when you get up in the morning, because we talked about intermittent fasting, getting your gut ready by getting it all cleaned out. We've talked about a little bit about water and high quality water. We talked about we don't need to buy organic because we can wash and take care of the vegetables. But we've also talked before, I think, about getting up in the morning and having a glass of water or hot water or warm water, some with lemon or
absolutely,
or sometimes with apple cider vinegar in it.
Absolutely.
Yes, to get everything started, right?
Absolutely. You know, again, see, it's interesting. It's like I'm not a great citrus fan. That everybody's different. Everybody's palate is different. You know, people love lemons. I don't like lemons. I just don't. So I created my morning hydration from a different perspective. I have my own healthy drinks, so that's how my morning hydration is. Absolutely. My morning starts with hot yoga. I cannot go into the studio being dehydrated.
Right.
And my by and large, my hot beverages are caffeine free. So absolutely, before I hit my breakfast, I stay hydrated. And in fact, if I'm hungry and I know that I'm going to be eating later, I will drink. But the idea, if you love your lemon water, to start your morning with a glass of lemon water is amazing. Just absolutely amazing.
So that sounds really good. So just to let people know, in the whole area of keeping yourself, primed up and healthy, I'm going to be doing on Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific time, we're going to be doing how to clear your pineal gland, which I think is a really important gland.
Very important pineal gland is your emotions. Again, it's your stress, it's your emotions. Very, very, we don't talk about pineal gland, but this is the little tiny thing that sits in the back of the brain. We talk about hypophysis, the pituitary gland. They're kind of like, close, pituitary and pineal. We don't talk about pineal. The pineal is so important because that's your stress. That's your emotions.
Yeah, so if you really want to work on your emotions and have them under control, not only learning to do the deep clearing protocol, but having a healthy gut, which we talked about, is really connected to your emotions. Yeah, and then also learning how to do your pineal gland, and learning about the three brain connection between your heart, your brain, and your gut. These are all ways in which you could sort of like do a body tune-up, right?
Absolutely. We need to do body tune-up all the time.
So talk about that. I was talking about your funny shelves behind you, and you were saying, oh, well, I grow microgreens. So that's part of it too, of getting the right quality of nutrition grown greens. Right.
So absolutely. So now, for example, let me do this. So let me show you my shelf. So as of now, you don't see any greens on it. There are no microgreens. There are no trays. So what happened is, probably in the next couple of weeks, I will start putting trays of microgreens, because living in Alberta, there won't be no greens at the farmer's market. So as of now, I still have, and I purchased quite a bit of a local stuff at the farmer's market. Like last Saturday, I got a beautiful celery, beautiful fresh celery, and kale, and I'm not a great fan of spinach, but you still can get spinach. And I got fennel. So I still got plenty of green nutrients.
Right.
However, exactly in a couple of weeks, nothing is going to be available, and we go into fall when we start being nutritionally depleted. And being nutritionally depleted, I need to sub it. So where do I bring that nutrition from? And what I like about microgreens, that they are alive. The highest nutritional composition with the highest concentration of phytoenzymes, or those plant enzymes, is in microgreens. So I'm accentuating that nutrient and minerals and vitamin content with microgreens. So, I've got my friend who grows microgreens. So I'm going to be buying 1 or 2 trays a week and putting them on my shelves, and there are lights. And then so I work, beautiful ambience, and then I'm hungry. I go graze some greens, eat it, work again. Graze, eat it, work again. And
So,
my
so
cats,
you have a
my
friend
cats
who
are
starts them for you, Savannah? You have a friend who starts the trays for you?
correct. He starts it. Yeah, he gives me about that tall.
Yeah. Oh,
And
nice.
then it grows till I eat the whole tray, and then I give him back the tray. He gives me back. So, and I get my favorite stuff. I get micro cabbages, like microgreens, red cabbage, and radishes, and baby kale. And sometimes I love arugula, but baby arugula, it's the most finicky microgreens. Oh God, they're so temperamental. Ugh. They're temperamental. You need to talk to them.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you got to treat your little microgreens with respect. Otherwise, they get sour and stinky. So you got to behave for them yourself around them.
Yeah, kales are good, but arugula, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
So
well, we have a greenhouse, so we're lucky that we can. Well, the kale in the middle of the winter and waits till first spring, so we have about 2 or 3 months we can't grow anything. But otherwise, we can have kale, which is one of my favorite, growing in the greenhouse just about all year round. So we're very, very fortunate. And we have a very good organic farm, and which is part of what you said. It's really important to know who's growing what and know what sort of, you actually go visit the farm if you can, see how they handle the farming and whether they're certified organic. So I've been out in the farm many times. And so we have great root vegetables that we can use. And also we have a farmer's market every week, and they do microgreens as well, right? They have big, huge greenhouses.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm lucky. My guys, they actually deliver. So
yeah, that's great.
Can't complain with that.
Right.
So food is so important, not only for us, for our gut, but they're also very, very important for our microgut. And the thing is, there's one thing that I wanted sort of to stress it out, that, I keep telling you about leaky gut.
Yes.
And we need to heal leaky gut. Again, what's a leaky gut? Leaky gut is basically dirty colon. Now, again, if you don't poop, that stool sits there. That's why we need to poop. Every meal, ideally, meal, poop. So, but the thing is, because when you keep the clean gut, there is that is a mucus layer between the lining, the lumen, the outside world, and the gut lining. There is the layer of mucus.
And that's
that layer it's a protective mucus.
Okay.
That layer, extremely important, because that's where the microgut grows. That's where our microbiota lives and survives. So when we are sick, that mucus is gone. When that mucus is gone, again, the lining is there, it's open. Again, we accentuate that formation of those holes to make leaky gut.
Right. So let's talk about things like, terramycin and, penicillin, and what we need to do after we, if we have to take them, how do we reestablish our gut afterwards? Because that's sort of like...
Great question. Very good question. So we need to understand, guys, that there are no probiotics that are going to replace your microgut. Our microgut flora consists of hundreds and hundreds of species. So there is a therapy now which is called fecal transplant.
Ooh, that doesn't sound very nice, but I get it.
I know it grows, but that's legit. This is FDA, whatever. I don't know about FDA, but I know in Canada, they absolutely approved it for ulcerative colitis or pseudomembranous colitis. So it's hospital-induced, doctors and it's like whole 9 yards.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. I've actually seen it where a veterinarian using it from one parrot to the other.
So the thing is it gross? Yes. Let's don't go that extreme. So now for us, so for example, how many of us actually suffer from child abuse of antibiotics?
Yes.
So if as a child you were constantly prescribed antibiotics, let me tell you one thing. Your microgut is not functioning, and your probably gut is not functioning. And just go back and see, having so many antibiotics, now your microgut is screwed up, and are you suffering from depression? Are you suffering from anxieties? Are you suffering from anger outbursts? Because you stop feeding your brain with those happy neurotransmitters or just healthy neurotransmitters. So now, obviously you need antibiotics. When you need antibiotics, is it going to wipe your floor? It is. However, there are concepts that sometimes to take probiotics right after antibiotic therapy or during antibiotic therapy may not be the greatest of idea, because you need to stimulate your own.
Right.
So how do you stimulate your own? That's where the concept of prebiotics come on board.
Okay.
That's when you need that probiotic food. That's when you need your apples and your onions and the very heavy duty fibrous foods that you can actually, however you need to digest it and chew it very well. That's when you need your hydration. That's when you need very, very good chocolate, aka dark chocolate, because it's a great food. It's flavonoids. It's a great food for your microgut. That's when you need your berries. So, and then there's another concept which is called spore biotics. Because you can get probiotics, and then you can get something which is actually not bad when you are undergoing antibiotic therapy. Because when you start probiotics after antibiotics, it may highly repopulate with very particular species.
Right.
Well, let's say you take a probiotic with 5, 7, or 10 species, and that's what they're going to multiply.
Right.
However,
and it may not be the
when
right balance.
Right. So, however, when you do spores, it's starting to activate our own microgut.
Right.
So that's one of the new theories.
And so what's that again? And how do you find out more about that again?
Actually, you can find very easy if you go on my YouTube, Svetlana Silverman. There are 2 lectures by amazing Dr. Kiran Krishnan.
Okay.
He talks about all this stuff. He talks about probiotics and spore biotics, and he covers amazingly, like he covers tons of grounds on gut and microgut. He's like a bug's genius.
Wow. Well, we're nearly into the top of the hour here with the show, actually. And so let's do a wrap up here. Let's go through the key points that we need to be aware of when we have a healthy gut and a healthy life, right?
Absolutely. So number 1, your Friday session, because healthy gut, healthy mind.
Right. So come and learn about how to clear your third eye, or that little tiny, what's it called?
Our third eye is here. Pineal gland is right there.
And they're connected. So come and learn how to clear your pineal gland, because it has a lot to do with your emotions, has a lot to do with your endocrine system and your endocrine balance.
And then, guys, get more and more information on probiotics, prebiotics, microgut from my YouTube channel, Svetlana Silverman. You will see Dr. Kiran Krishnan, and you can send me emails from my YouTube channel subscribing. So now, let's do the key points. The key points are fruits and vegetables, wash them, rinse them, peel them, stay hydrated. a lot of that stuff, and take charge of your gut health. So your food is the foundation for your healthy gut and healthy microgut. As soon as you start cleaning your gut and tuning up, balancing, upregulating your microgut, whole bunch of other abnormalities will start disappearing, will start going away.
Sounds wonderful. Any last words?
The words of gratitude, absolutely.
Yes, the real gratitude, and thank you for showing up. It's always great to talk to a doctor with a crystal ball who can deal with both their intuition and their intellect to come up with a more holistic approach to medicine, health, and wealth. I thank you very much for being you and helping us understand these, what could be complex ideas, which can be broken down for the average person to understand so they can have a healthy, wealthy, successful life.
Thank you so much, Tyson. And I'm so looking for more and more and more of our interactions and more education. And, I'm looking forward to learn from you. And I'm sure I can contribute a whole lot more in regards to health.
Well, we're going to have you back on the show. You can just give us a list of what other topics you think we need to learn in the whole area of health, because we're in the very, very unusual times. And if we don't take care of our immune system, there's really grave consequences that can happen during this time. So it's really, really important that we learn to take back our own health.
Really, really. Thank you, guys.
All right. Thank you very much. And bye for now.
For quality online wellness products, courses, and services, visit our sponsors, WELLNESSSTORE.CA. and the Extraordinary Healing Arts Academy located at thewellnessacademy.ca. To stay in touch, visit us at thewellnessshow.ca. And until next time, be healthy, wealthy, and wise.